Ever since I've been a small child, I've loved being active. And some of my favorite activities have been rock climbing, hiking, fishing, swimming, and a whole bunch more, especially canoeing. And one thing that's really hard about doing all those things, especially where I'm from, is I can't do them. So where I've had to go is the Boundary Waters. The Boundary Waters is a place in Minnesota up very far north, just right below Canada, and it is an amazing national park. Many people have not been there, and frankly it's very surprising because of all the great features that it has in store. And I only found out about it because of a camp I went to. Point is, there are countless things that you can do there, and it encompasses all the things I've loved doing as a child. So just to get a quick understanding of the Boundary Waters, I just want to tell you a little bit about it. Originally, there wasn't much travel in the Boundary Waters, especially early on, just because it was very undiscovered, unplanned, and there's roughly 10,000 lakes that are small individual lakes there just by themselves, which is a huge amount. And so it was really hard to find, correct passageways that would always be the same. So the people that were there were the Ojibwe Indians, or Native Americans. They lived there, and they've always lived there. And they found ways using canoes, that were originally wooden. They found ways to maneuver around there, and as I said, through canoes. And then the other people that went through there were the French fur traders. And what they would do is then they'd go from basically one large body of water to the other, specifically Lake Superior, which you can get to by doing a 9-mile portage, which I'll get to later. And those were really that's really the main kind of human interaction in the area. But needless to say, not much happened there until the people started logging and mining there. There's a lot of resources. It's rich in all kinds of stuff. And it wasn't until presidents started realizing that we were getting rid of so much of a culture, a rich culture, that they were like, we need to save this. So they passed acts that allowed them to keep it, and they made it a national forest. So some things that I learned while there really is just like, you learn to respect nature, and there's a lot more than just you in the world, and you get a bigger picture of life, I believe. Some things though that I found out while I was there, just more on terms of being prepared whenever I was planning a trip, because I would help little kids also go out there and they do their travels and journeys just like I did when I was younger. And so some things I found out that I would need were always a raincoat, because in Minnesota the weather's always changing, and so you never know. It could be snowing one day, it could be raining the next day, and it can be sunny the other. Another thing that I found is that you always need a life jacket. It's just safety. Whenever you're canoeing, water levels vary, and some kids don't know how to swim, some do. And so it's just always important to, stay safe and it keeps you safe. One thing that's also very important is, always have your swim shorts on. Wearing pants is a terrible idea there, because you're constantly getting in and out of the canoes, and getting pants wet is really hard to dry and just keeps you warm overnight. And then lastly, a pair of shoes that are comfortable, but yet easy to clean and easy to take off. So that's why I have my Chacos on, and they just help, and they do exactly that. And then another thing that's always important, although I did not bring, is sunscreen. You will burn up there. It gets hot, and you are right under the sun. Cloud coverage is minimal at times, and then other times it's storming. But some reasons why I really like the Boundary Waters are just really because it's such a relaxing place to be. I've learned so much really about myself while being there, in terms of just like, how I see the world, and then just my outlook on the world. I found out, like a lot of my interests, as I said, rock climbing, I didn't actually find out until I went there, and it's become such a huge part of my life. And then finally, fishing. I love fishing, and that is so much fun. Even though I don't get to do it often, they have some really cool fish that you can find there. Northern pike are huge, and they have teeth. One thing, though, that is also really interesting about the Boundary Waters is that there are not that many people there. Since, as I said before, it's not not many people go there because it's not known well. You can go out there and you won't see people for miles and miles, and it's very surreal, and you can just step back and really appreciate, as I said before, just the nature and the vastness of all of it. So if you're ever looking for a place where you can really find yourself, and then maybe go out and do something that is just cool, interesting, from any range, be it 5 years old all the way up to an old people that you'll find there. You can always do that, and it's a great place to go.